On the agenda tonight, we're jumping into part 2 of our analysis on Luciano Pavarotti performing Nessun Dorma back in 1998. Hello, Phil here from Wings of Pegasus, and welcome to another analysis video. If you enjoy this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe. So we're going to be jumping into part 2 of this analysis on Luciano Pavarotti, and we'll just jump straight into the video. I recorded this all in one, but as you can imagine, looking at a guy like Luciano, it went on for quite a while, hence why I've divided it up into a part 1 and a part 2, but let's get back into it. Okay, so now we're getting into proper tenor territory. I'm just going to turn up the backing so you guys can hear Pavarotti's voice in relation to the backing and the tuning of it always sounding a bit sharp. And because of the tuning disparity potentially, this is why it looks like it's between notes here on the pitch monitoring software, but it would be still a little bit sharp of the A4. This is a lot sharper on the graph, but you can see how we've still got this really consistent vibrato the whole time. And we are way up there now. If we're going, most guys would be doing that kind of thing to get that note to begin with, because it's a really high note. But listen to the body in his sound, it is just off the charts. Now, something that I did notice with another performance, and this is the kind of subtlety that you have to appreciate between performances, and just to be able to pick out anything from one performance to the next. When we're listening to that final line, we'll listen to it again. We can hear that he's he actually starts and then leans into it a little bit more. When we then change to another live performance, I'll take that back. Listen to the difference there. Now he's starting there rather than the really connected chest voice sound. So real subtlety in the performances here and the difference between the two. But it just shows you how Luciano changed his live performance just ever so slightly, one phrase to the next, and it's pretty much just that part out of these two performances that I've been listening to and analysing, where you'll notice this difference in his vocal cord configuration, how he's just a lot lighter. He's going for a slightly different expression. And this is the thing about great singers, great music. You don't even need to know the language to appreciate musically the kind of level that this is on. Just his voice is just great to listen to. Even though you don't know what he's saying, you might not speak the language, but that voice just soaring up there, you know, in and around those A4s, A sharp 4s, the B4s as well. And, you know, this is why he was so revered, because of hitting that C5 in the chest voice. And that's what a male tenor is all about, that holy grail of being able to hit that note in that full-bodied sound. But we'll get back into it.
stelle all'alba vincerò, vincerò, vincerò.
I'm just going to jump in here because right at the end, this is the crescendo, that final note where everything is now just all in. When we take it back and introduce the backing, you'll be able to hear how the orchestra, compared to at the beginning, I'll just play a bit from at the beginning of the song. So just listen to the level that is at. You'll notice how at the end the orchestra and the lead vocal are in the same place. And you can tell that Luciano is really leaning into that chest voice, hitting it with everything that he's got. You can actually hear that right at the end of his phrase where you hear him breathe out the exhalation because of the amount of pressure and support that he's got in his voice. But then you get the orchestra at the same level, so they're now equal. You've gone on that journey from focal point being the vocal to now focal point being everything. I want you to first of all listen out for what I just mentioned, that exhalation. You can hear the amount of pressure in his voice and behind his vocal cords. When he then lets go of the note, you can hear that there's loads of force under here that's being supplied by this diaphragmatic breath and support that he's got. And then when he lets go, you get this, it's almost like that. Have a listen. Right at the end of that line, you can hear that, and it's all pressure, just allowing him to get this amount of body and tone in the sound. Now have a look at this last note. I'm just gonna pause it there. Technique wise, of course, great vibrato, consistent, but I want you to look at how relaxed he is. He's obviously expanding everything that he can to get as much resonance as he can in his face, in his, as I've said before, his resonance chamber, which is his head, pushing that jaw all the way down, but not forcing it down, allowing everything to be loose. Let's hear the end of the note. And it's almost like looking at a statue because he is so relaxed. He's not kind of going and moving things to help him with the note. I mean, it's just so impressive from a technical standpoint, from pretty much every standpoint. But the way that he shapes his tongue, because this is interesting, you'll see all over the internet what you should do with your tongue, what is correct tongue placement, and some people say that, it should be, slightly sticking out when it's really relaxed, or it should be on the bottom of your mouth, just resting behind your front teeth maybe, and flat, to the back of the throat should come away, open throat technique, all of this kind of stuff. Here, you get a really clear picture of Luciano's tongue, and you can see how it is arched. It's not flat, and you would think that having your tongue in that position would be a position of stress, having this arc in it, and it might be forcing off or closing the space at the back of the throat, which you don't want. But we'll listen. I mean, look at that tongue. It is so arched over. What a final note. The thing I would say about this, just looking at his tongue placement, is that everybody is different. Everybody finds the best position for their tongue in relation to their own technique and where it feels comfortable. Because you can imagine that if you're trying to sing exactly the same way as somebody else and literally copying their positions of, their tongue and their jaw, you might find that because you're different, you're literally different physiologically from that person, you might find that uncomfortable to have your tongue in that position, whereas you'll find another position that isn't where theirs is, but you can now sing freely and feel like you've got great technique and you're not going to damage your voice and everything's fine, whereas doing it somebody else's way doesn't work for you. And so I think this is why, you know, taking all of these things and all of these things that are really looking at positions in detail, I'd say take it with a pinch of salt, because it might be the case. I mean, if a guy like Pavarotti doesn't have his tongue sticking out when he's hitting his highest note and holding it with this kind of authority, I would say don't place too much emphasis on it. Of course you want to be relaxed, and that will allow you to get up to your highest notes. The way that I think of Luciano Pavarotti is like a top-level athlete who has been training their whole life to do this one event, but they were also born with a natural talent or propensity for what they are practicing at, what they're trying to get good at. And with Luciano, he just has that sound to his voice. He had that sound to his voice that will just stand the test of time, and you can instantly tell his voice when you're listening to it. And I mean, that's just the mark of a top level professional, when they've just got their own identity, and you can hear that especially through their voice. But having that combination of natural talent and working really, really hard, harder than the other people who have talent, but also harder than those that are really trying to work at it as well. He just was relentless in his pursuit of this lifelong goal of reaching perfection with his voice. I mean, a lot of getting to this place with your voice is, yeah, practice, talent, but then having your voice being unique and sounding like it's got personality and drama in there, especially when you're talking about opera, acting out scenes and putting the emotional content of the scene you're in into your voice and portraying that with this level of technical ability vocally is just on one of the highest, if not the highest level. But a really interesting one to take a look at tonight that it could have gone on for years, but we will call it a day here. Thank you guys for requesting this particular video and performance for me to take a look at. As always, keep those requests and suggestions coming in the comment section below. Let me know what you guys think, and if you did enjoy this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe, and I'll see you guys at the next one. Rock!